Today, we're going to be talking about a click and buy experience for non-traditional programs. So we really want to describe and talk about what is the differences that non-traditional programs need in that applicant experience versus traditional programs. So for today's agenda, we want to go through what that non-traditional applicant experience really means for us, at least at Enrollment Rx. And what we really talk about is that browse first, authenticate later. That's the difference. We're going to describe that in just a minute, but that's the first thing we want to cover. And then we're going to talk about what we call cart builder. How do we define which products are for sale and how do we develop that experience for those candidates to select? Next, we'll talk about Payment Builder and our integration with different payment gateways. And then Template Builder, which is how do we control the look and feel and style and branding of that shopping cart experience and that registration, that course selection experience. And then, of course, as always, we will take questions. So with that, let's first just talk quickly about that non-traditional applicant experience. So when we say browse first, authenticate later, I'm going to show in the demo in just a minute what this actually can look like and does look like for many of our clients. But in the traditional experience, an applicant would typically click to apply. They would register, log into a portal, and fill out an application that could be very long and complex even, and submit that application. In the non-traditional experience, very often what colleges and universities would like is for a candidate to be able to come and browse from a course catalog and scroll through a series of courses, select a series of courses, maybe add them to a shopping cart, and they still haven't even identified who this person is. They haven't identified who they are yet to the system. All we know is that they are an individual who is browsing our course catalog and selecting programs and adding them to the shopping cart. It's only once they might select to check out and pay that they actually first identify who they are, create a login, authenticate, and make their payment. So that's what we mean when we say browse first, authenticate later. It's different versus the traditional applicant who would first actually authenticate. They would first register, log into the portal, and then start applying. So that's the major difference that we need to support from a technology perspective as well, of course, but also from a user experience perspective. So when we get into the demo, we're going to look at, again, Cart Builder, which is how we are able to define which objects and what's the data model that is actually going to be sold in the shopping cart environment. Of course, for our clients and for today's conversation, we're really talking about non-traditional courses, non-traditional programs, and those types of courses. So those would be the products that the shopping cart would be supporting and would be selling. But really, you can define any data model, any potential set of products could be sold in the cart builder. So we're going to explain how that is configured and what that looks like. And then we're going to talk about our payment builder and our out-of-the-box payment integration. We do provide out-of-the-box payment integration with several leading payment integration systems, including TouchNet, Nelnet, CashNet, ACI, PayPal, PayFlow Pro, Authorize.net, Stripe, and Moneris, to name a few. So those are definitely out of the box, and then we can integrate with other payment gateway providers as well that provide an API. But we'll talk about what the payment builder looks like. And then lastly, we're going to talk about page and template builder and defining the content of what is actually on the screen and the style and the look and the feel, the branding, the CSS, the HTML. So those are three of the things that we said we do want to cover, of course. And then, as always, we want to emphasize the system composability. What skill set is required to create everything that we're about to look at and see? And that's always the magic. That's always the emphasis from Enrollment Rx when we build our products on Salesforce, is to really extend the composability of the system to those operations folks who are not necessarily technical engineers, but still understand what what they want the system to do. Those are the ones who know best what they want the system to do. And we want to empower those operations team members, those operations system administrators to really take control and make the system do everything that they would like it to be able to do. As always, most of what you're about to see is all configurable with mouse clicks, and that's the promise of our system composability, and we'll spend some time looking at that as well. So with that, let's take a look at the demonstration. If we take a step back for a second, we said we want to look at the non-traditional applicant experience, but just to juxtapose it, let's talk about the traditional applicant experience first, very briefly. So here we have a pretend school website, and maybe an applicant might come to this website. And if it's a traditional applicant, they might click to apply. And so when they click to apply, if you saw our demonstration a couple of weeks ago, you saw that they can register here probably first. They would provide demographic information, probably create a password, probably provide additional information, maybe campus or citizenship or level or program or whatever other criteria you may want to collect here. And then as they log in and register, even depending on those criteria, what they can see and do next might differ. Right? So once a traditional applicant might log in, they might land on a home page. They might see their admission status right away. They might see their assigned counselor. They might see a message to, hey, click here to get started with your application. And then they might click there. And so then they would begin filling out their application, right? And maybe they currently would fill out the first page. And as they advance to the next page, they might start answering questions. And again, based on all of these conditions, if they said on campus for bachelor's in accounting, so based on those answers when they hit save, so now everything can change and they have additional pages and additional forms and fields and data to provide. And that's all configurable and all dynamic, right? And then once they submit all of this information, of course, or as they get started with their application, they can see their requirements, they can submit additional requirements. And once all of that is completed, they may again see, hey, you've been admitted and congratulations. And now they even have a new set of checklist requirements for admitted student, and their journey could continue. That's the traditional applicant experience. That is not what we all came here to see today, but we just wanted to again juxtapose it, right? In the non-traditional applicant experience, instead of somebody maybe coming here and clicking to apply immediately, let's just pretend they were coming here and saying, hey, I want to learn more about continuing education or executive education or something like that. So if they clicked on that link, maybe instead what we want to do is we want to take them eventually or immediately or whenever, we want to take them to some type of this kind of experience. So here they might land on a course catalog experience where they can browse through our series of courses that we may offer at our institution. They can scroll through, they can go through all of them if you so choose. Notice that we can offer them filter options. So if I said, just show me the courses that are $100 to $200, or also show me the courses that are $200 to $300. So that all is logic that you can assign to the user experience. Or if just show me the business programs, just show me the pharmacy programs. So you can define those kinds of rules and those kinds of logic. And then, of course, if I wanted to, as a user or a candidate, if I said I wanted to sign up for a course, I can click on a course. I can see all the details about the course that we may want me to actually see here. This is all configurable. Clients can control what fields of information and what data is actually being displayed here from a course. This is all Salesforce, just to remind everybody. So this information is Salesforce, and we're displaying this information from Salesforce. So as the course was created in Salesforce, that name is what could be displayed here. And then if I add this to the cart, I could either check out or continue shopping. As we can see now, there's one item in my cart. I can add another item to the cart. And of course, that's the traditional shopping experience that we're all used to from Amazon and everything else. Now, at some point, I may choose to actually proceed to payment. That's where, in the non-traditional experience, I may, for the first time, be asked to identify myself. Now, if I've done this before, maybe I just need to log in to my existing credential. If I'm new, then I would, at this point, register and provide my information and maybe check out, make my payment, right? Provide my credit card information and make my payment. If I was a returning user, I would log in. And as we saw in the traditional experience, so similarly, we could also provide a non-traditional applicant portal experience where now an applicant might log in, they might see the ability to see their courses that they previously registered for. So in this case, maybe first they can update just their personal information, their demographic information. So maybe we give them like their My Profile page. And then if we wanted them to also update or see their past courses, we can display their previous courses that they signed up for, their current courses. This poor record here is part of every demo we do. So she's registered for a lot of courses, but as you can see, she can see that. She can see all of her courses she signed up for. She can enroll in another course. And as always, the user can browse additional courses and sign up for additional courses through the portal as well. So that is the non-traditional applicant experience where they may first browse from the courses. And once they have added their courses to their shopping cart, at that point, they would be able to proceed to payment and checkout. So that's the first thing we wanted to cover. Now, from there, we really want to talk about how was this all created? How did we define these courses? How are we controlling which are being displayed? What data is being displayed? How are we defining these filters? Why are we filtering by price range and by department? What if we want to filter by other things? What if there's other products? What if we add a new course to the system? What if we don't like that this thing's green up here and there's all this white space, or we don't like these fonts, or that the bottom is purple? These are the questions that we now want to talk about from a composability perspective. So to begin with, let's look here at an example of a course, right? I mean, if we're looking here at fundamentals of medical health sciences or whatever this course is. So how do we control what this data is if we wanted to add a new course? So if we go to the back end of Salesforce. So here now, we can see in Salesforce that one of the things we have is a course offerings object. You may have this. This may be your product, your object that you're using. Again, in this demo, we're talking about registering for courses. So we're talking about the course offering object. So here we can see we have course offerings. We happen to have that course here. If I click into that course, this is where in Salesforce you can create. There's fundamental of medical chemistry, medicinal chemistry. That's the name of the course. And we can add a description and course fees and any other information, start date, end date, capacity, all of these kinds of things that you might want to add about a particular course in Salesforce. And then from there, we'll show in a moment how easily it is to define on the front end, what of that data should actually even show up on a record. Or if I click on it, what of that information should show up here on a record. But once that's all configured, then it's easy for anybody in the operations team to go add an additional course and click it as active. And then that will automatically show up in the same way on the shopping cart that somebody else can sign up and register for. Or if this course is no longer offered, we can uncheck the box on the back end and it would automatically remove it from the shopping cart experience as well, as an example. That's first off, is just to explain that, yes, in Salesforce, we're tracking all the courses you're tracking. You would be creating and tracking and storing all of your courses. Your entire course catalog could be there in Salesforce, those course offerings. And then that's what we could choose to display in that shopping cart. The next thing we want to talk about, okay, so how do you configure that cart builder? What does that actually look like? So if we go into our FormBuilder Rx product, which of course is our product that we've built on Salesforce to transform Experience Cloud into this user experience that we're talking about. So here you can see that one of the features we have is Cart Builder. And if I click into Cart Builder, here now you can see what a configuration of cart builder can look like. And you can add multiple configurations of a shopping cart, but here is this version of a shopping cart. And in this example here, the first thing you'll notice is we're selecting what is the product that we actually want to sell in this shopping cart experience. So as we've said multiple times, for our demo here, we're talking about the course offering object. That is the object that we're choosing to sell as a product. But as you can see here, I can add a new product object to the system. And when we say product, we don't mean standard Salesforce product, although that's certainly one of the objects you could use. But we really mean this is an agnostic term. That means any object that you want to define as the product with the lowercase p, if you will, that would be sold in the shopping cart. So here we have defined the object called course offering to be the product that we're selling in this particular shopping cart. And then the next thing down you notice is we can define the cart filters. So these were these filters here. And in this case, we were filtering by price range and by department. Well, why is that? Here's how you define that. You get to define, okay, I want to filter by price range, by department. If you want to add a new filter, you can add a new filter. So you can use different fields, different pieces of data to segment out those products based on whatever your use cases are. And then below that, there's a lot of other configurable features in terms of defining the cart and defining all of those components of it that I won't go through, but it's all mouse clicks and selectable and really composable from a user experience perspective. So that's the cart builder. Main emphasis there is that you can define what object you want to use to what are your products that you want to sell, and then what's those filter experiences and what's going to be actually displayed on those product cards inside of the shopping cart. The next thing we wanted to cover was Payment Builder. So as we said, with Payment Builder, we have out-of-the-box integration with those payment gateway providers that I did mention. And then you can always add your own payment gateway providers as well. But if I click here to add a new payment, out of the box, this demo is not up to date. These three here are certainly three of them. And then I mentioned a whole bunch of others as well. These are out-of-the-box payment integrations that you can select, and then you can just define your endpoint and return point URLs, and you can make that active. And that's really all of the configuration that you need to do to set up that integration with those providers. And again, if there's a one that's not on our list, if they provide an API, that's no problem to integrate with them. But that is the Payment Builder configuration. So again, no code, no software development required there. That's something that an operations person can even be empowered to do. And then we want to talk about the template builder. So the template builder is how we are controlling those user experiences. So again, back here on this homepage of this applicant, why did they see this logo at the top and all of this red coloring over here and this red coloring at the bottom? Or why does this person see it as teal? So how did we do that? How do we control that? That's something that we really want to be able to define. Again, even on the pages themselves, this person is seeing this experience and the other person was seeing the red experience on their pages. So we call this templates, and we want to make that easy to configure as well. Our clients, if you look at all of our clients, they're going to have very, very different looking portals and forms and pages. Those user experiences, they all look like their own institutions. But in many cases, they're actually using our templates and they're just modifying the branding and the color to fit their styles. But when it comes to the template builder in FormBuilder Rx, so here you can see we have that feature. And the first thing we want to emphasize is Enrollment Rx, again, we provide 5 out-of-the-box templates. So instead of having to code them all or build them all from scratch or be marketing professionals or HTML professionals, really, we provide our clients an option of 5 different templates that they can choose to use. And they're very easy to configure and modify just to fit their particular needs. So an example of that here, if I click into any one of these templates here, but if I click into template 5 here, So this is an example of one of our templates. And if I scroll down, you can notice a few things. So first of all, every template is going to have a header and a footer, and that is HTML. That is going to be providing that style, right? And we, for our templates that are out of the box, we are providing that HTML. Below that, it's very easy then for an admin user just to upload their logo that they would like to use into Salesforce. And that would be what could display as the logo and on the template. And then here you can see all of the configurable components on the style itself. So whether it's the font or the background color or the logo color or the whatever colors and styles, we give you all of those configurable options to really just click into it and say, you know what, we're not blue at our school, we're green. So let's make everything green, and then it's going to look like our institution. So it's that easy to configure and modify from a template perspective. And then below that, the other great thing, as always, with Enrollment Rx and FormBuilder Rx is to define the rules of who should even see this template. Maybe theme 5 is only for, the non-traditional applicants, or maybe that's for admitted students or undergraduate students or the business program students or whatever those infinite use cases may be. So how are you going to define that criteria? So here we get to actually set the display criteria. And if I click here, we can see an example. I can say, you know what, if on the object called, let's just say application, the field known as admission status is equal to okay. So that's who should see theme 5's template. And I can put in the logic here, right? 1. So order number 1, and I can add additional logic, 1 or 2, 1 and 2, 1 or 2 and 3. So standard Salesforce style logic there as well to define that display criteria. But this is how you actually get to define who should see this particular template, because that may be different for different use cases by program, by level, by campus, what have you. So again, easy to configure up here with mouse clicks. If your marketing team or your institution has their own HTML and their own CSS that they would like to use, then again, it is a simple thing to go in and just create your own new template. And you can either choose to use our existing templates and modify them or build your own. And if you build your own, then you drop your own HTML into the header and the footer and you do your thing there. But it's still a relatively simple process for any professional who wants to go that route. So those are the composable features that we have built into FormBuilder Rx to really make it easy for our clients to create the shopping cart, create the cart builder, configure the payment builder, and also configure the user experience and all of the content that's actually being displayed to those candidates in that shopping cart environment. We would invite you to please call us to see a deeper demonstration of all of that and how that might apply to you. For a reminder, we have upcoming webinars as well. Next Wednesday, we're going to be presenting on managing events on Salesforce for recruitment and admissions. So please join us for that. We'll talk about all kinds of events, from open houses to campus visits to online events to even managing appointments and managing those one-on-one appointments and integrating that with your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar and having that single source of truth on Salesforce as your calendar. So please do join us next week for the events session. And then the following week, we'll be talking about reports and dashboards, managing your data for recruitment and admissions, and how to create those reports and dashboards, and what are those best practices around that. And then the following week, we're going to be talking really about integration and integrating Salesforce with your student information system, with Banner, with Colleague, with PeopleSoft, Genzabar, Workday, others. So please join us if that's of interest to you, where we definitely have an in-house practice for that. And we're going to be joined by our Director of Integration Services. She's going to be speaking about integration. And then finally, we're going to be wrapping up with preparing for the implementation and all of the best practices, tips and tricks, and things we really recommend institutions should be mindful about as they plan to deploy Salesforce for recruitment and admissions. So please join us for all of those. You can register on our website at enrollmentrx.com.